Welcome to the Soulful Insights podcast, where we break free from trauma, religious conditioning, and limiting beliefs to reclaim your power and step into full spiritual sovereignty. I'm your host, Tandy, and I help women just like you transform their lives through breathwork, hypnotherapy, and subconscious reprogramming. Today, we are going to explore a powerful yet often overlooked force that influences your emotions, energy, and personal growth: the moon. What if the secret to feeling more energized, emotionally balanced, and in tune with your purpose wasn't found in pushing harder, but syncing with the natural rhythms of nature? The moon is more than just a celestial body lighting up the night sky. It is a powerful force of feminine energy, guiding us through natural cycles of growth, release, rest, and renewal. Our emotions, energy levels, and intuition are deeply connected to the moon's phases. Each phase of the moon carries a unique energetic frequency, influencing our moods, creativity, focus, and ability to manifest. By aligning with these cycles, we can work with our energy instead of against it, honoring the times for action and productivity, while also embracing the moments for rest and reflection. So I want to talk about a woman's 28-day hormonal cycle mirrors the moon. And the first thing I want to say is I realize that many women do not have an exact 28-day cycle. And there are reasons for that. And I'm not going to go too much into that, but we have, for example, daylight savings time, which interrupts circadian rhythms, which interrupts hormonal cycles and natural cycles within the body. We have, our society operates on the male hormonal cycle, which is a 24-hour cycle. Men's energy resets every morning, and their testosterone is the highest in the mornings. They're very energetic. They work all day. Their energy levels start to drop towards the evening. They rest, and then they do it again the next day. And that's how their cycles work. That's how our society is set up. This severely interferes with the hormonal balance of women, though, because we are not on a 24-hour cycle. Yes, we live that way day to day, but our energy levels fluctuate far more than men's do on a daily basis. So that's why we're going to look at the 28-day hormonal cycle. When we live in balance with nature, this is generally what women will have, is a 28-day cycle completely synced up with the moon. Women are naturally attuned to the rhythms of the moon because both follow a 28-day cycle under optimal conditions and settings. And like I said, men's hormonal cycles align with the sun, which is a 24-hour rhythm. So the energy levels peak in the morning and decline at night. Women's energy, emotions, creativity, even desire for social interaction fluctuates throughout the month, just like the moon. Each lunar phase mirrors a phase of a woman's cycle, affecting her mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And before I was very aware of the lunar phases, but I was not aware of how much it impacted me. And I've talked to my husband many times. I've been maybe just not really feeling the social interaction, struggling emotionally, and I'll look and be like, oh my goodness, it's a full moon, or, whatever. And I've started noticing that it has had a profound effect on my menstrual cycle, emotionally and otherwise. A lot of times we'll have purging with certain phases of the moon, emotional purging. So it's really important to understand these phases so that you can see how it affects you. It's absolutely awe-inspiring when you start noticing how much it does affect you. So we're going to start with the new moon. The new moon would generally tend to sync up with the menstrual cycle or the menstrual phase of your cycle. And this is termed the inner winter. So this is the darkest time, right? This is when we don't see the moon. It is the darkest night. Some of you may resonate with that. How your menstrual cycle may feel to you is the inner winter. So your energy levels during this time, and I want you to realize Regardless of whether your menstrual phase actually lines up with the new moon, doesn't really matter. You are going to experience these energy levels either or. So just pay attention to the moon, pay attention to your menstrual cycle, see how these things are affecting you. But generally, your energy levels during this time will be lower. You'll be more introspective, and it's like an emotional reset. So it's kind of like some downtime where everything is still. You need inner stillness, you need calm, and kind of a little bit away from all the social interaction and buzz and all of that. And you really need to honor that. And especially with romantic partners, it's really important for them to understand this phase of your cycle so that they can honor your need to maybe not be planning a lot of social events or things like that during this time, especially if you are more influenced by this. So the hormonal influence going on, estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest during this part of the process, and so this leads to more fatigue, emotional sensitivity, especially because progesterone levels are kind of dropping and hormone levels are changing, so you can be a lot more emotionally sensitive, either just prior or into this phase. Emotional and spiritual, this is the time of deep reflection, release, and renewal. And you can kind of see how that plays into what's happening in your body. It is a time to release. So it is going to bring up emotions, even from a spiritual perspective, because energetically you are releasing right now. And so allow that to happen. Allow the emotional release. If you need to have time to just express, to talk, to express anger, to cry, whatever it is, let it out. This is a time of release. If you hold those emotions in and you don't allow them to release, this can cause other issues down the line. The best activities to be doing during this phase of either the new moon or a menstrual phase. So if you are a woman that is beyond menopause or your menstrual cycles are really irregular, you can just follow the moon phases for these things, and you'll find that it's also very helpful and healing. The best activities during this are rest, meditation, journaling, setting new intentions. Exercise should be a little bit lower during this time. Maybe yoga, walking, kind of just giving yourself a little bit of rest and reset. And then we're going to move into the waxing moon. So we've gone through our new moon, and now the moon is now starting to come back. So we have our waxing moon. This would be your follicular phase. So after the end of the menstrual cycle, this is your inner spring. So this is when the seeds are starting to grow and starting to sprout. So your energy levels are going to start to rise. You're going to be more creative, more inspired, and gain more activity as you go through this phase. The hormonal influences, estrogen is increasing, it's boosting confidence, optimism. You have more mental clarity during this time. Emotional and spiritual, it's a time for starting new projects, setting goals, embracing growth. This is really a time to start up new habits, new things, and embracing that growth cycle that's starting to happen, that more energy, that more mental clarity that you're having right now. Best activities would be brainstorming, your creative work, networking. You're more social now, making plans. This is any work on your business, any active or social work. This is a really good time for a lot of those things. You will find that when you follow these cycles, it's going to be so much easier for you in your life to be successful and to feel happy and productive because you understand where you are. Okay. So then we move into the full moon. This is ovulation phase. This is your inner summer. And this can last for 3 to 5 days-ish in this ovulation kind of phase. It's your inner summer. It's your energy levels are really high. You're the most social, the most magnetic, the most energetic. The hormonal influences, estrogen and testosterone, are kind of peaking. You have follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. You have a lot of stuff going on right now. This makes this time more confident, expressive, and energized phase of the cycle, which is great. This is the time of manifestation, celebration, deep connection with others. You feel more social and energetic. Again, this is a great time for public speaking, socializing, launching projects, embracing self-expression. So during your follicular phase, you're starting the new projects, you're setting the goals, you're embracing the growth. So it's kind of the starting out and the growing. And then in the ovulation phase, this is like the full expression of what you've been working on. This is when we're out public speaking, when we're out socializing, the full manifestation of all of those things. This is the time of manifestation, harvest, whatever. During this phase, it's the warmest, active, I would say this is probably your most like masculine energy that you're going to have as a female. This is your biggest kind of masculine, full sun kind of energy going on during this full moon. And then we go into the waning moon, or the luteal phase. And this is your inner autumn. Things are starting to slow down. So when you getting more introspective, preparing for release again. So progesterone is rising. And progesterone is going to make you feel more tired. You're not going to have as much energy as progesterone rises through this phase. It's not like an instantaneous thing like, oh, I'm in my luteal phase, I all of a sudden have no energy. It just starts to wane. And this leads to increased emotional sensitivity through, like I said, increasing and then kind of hitting its peak towards the end of the luteal phase. You need more solitude during this time. Not entirely, but this is not your most active social time. This is a time for letting go, for organizing and preparing for rest. So now we're kind of getting ourselves organized, and this is not the time for all of our public speaking and all of our things going on, all of the activity and growth. We're now kind of coming back inward. Inner autumn, the leaves are kind of falling, things are going back to sleep again. So the best thing to be doing here is deep self-reflection, tying up loose ends with the things you've been working on, decluttering, setting boundaries, kind of preparing for your little cocoon phase, right? And by working with these cycles instead of against them, women can experience more balance, ease, and alignment in their lives. This will allow you to not be so frustrated when you struggle to go hard day in and day out. You weren't built that way. You are not built to be on the 24-hour cycle where you're active day after day after day after day. This is why women's cycles are wonky. Some women are 35 days or even longer, and we are so out of sync and out of touch with our feminine energy. The moon is the representation of the feminine energy, and when we're not in sync with that energy and that flow of that 28-day cycle, it can really throw us off emotionally. We get a lot more PMS. We get a lot more emotions coming up because we're not allowing this to happen naturally, right? You need to be careful that you're not resisting this. When the emotions want to come up, they need to come up. You need to have a good outlet for that. And you need to have a partner that can allow for that. As you sync your daily habits, work cycles, self-care routines with the moon's phases and also with your own menstrual cycle phasing, this allows you to flow with your energy instead of forcing productivity at the wrong times. And a lot of the world's productivity, like I said, is based on the 24-hour male hormonal cycle, which just does not align or resonate with women. So I want to give just a little bit more detailed instructions on how to work with the phases of the moon. Like I said, if your cycle is not regular, if you're beyond menopause, whatever situation you are in life, you can always sync up with these 28-day cycles with the moon, and it will always be honoring to your body to do so. So during the new moon, this is your rest and intention setting. Journaling on what you want to release and setting new intentions. Take time for deep rest. Take naps if you need to. Self-care routines, and a little bit more solitude. And this will be different for everyone. Women that are more extroverted or enjoy more social interaction may want more social interaction during this time than women who are more introverted. So again, it's honoring your own cycles and your own desires within this. I'm just giving you some guidelines of how to honor yourself, and then you kind of see where it fits for you. Meditate to connect with your inner wisdom. So meditation is really, really good during the new moon and also during that menstrual phase of your cycle. Create vision boards for the upcoming cycle as well. So towards the end of that menstrual phase, vision boards become a really good idea. And then we go into the waxing moon. This is taking inspired action, setting goals, starting new creative projects. I'm not a huge fan of goals. I like to more set inspired actions rather than just goals. So whatever resonates with you is fine. And when I say setting goals, I'm mostly talking about what are we going to accomplish this month? What are we going to be working on and doing this month? Engage in higher energy activities, learning, networking, getting more social, increasing your physical movement to build momentum. Increasing the intensity of your workouts is also great during this time. Writing your affirmations, visualizing success. You're really kind of starting to come out of that darker night. And so you're really envisioning the energetic aspects that are coming. And then we move into, and realize these phases are not just like one night, right? They're a period of time that the moon is waxing towards the full moon. You're going to get, it's halfway there. So again, it just slowly builds. During the full moon, this is manifestation, celebration, active, really, really active and social. Expressing yourself fully, speaking, dancing, creating, socializing. The fullest expression of your energy is right at this point. Host a full moon ritual. Write down what you're burning up to symbolize letting go. Practice gratitude. Recognize how far you've come. It's great to charge your crystals in the moonlight during this full moon phase. But this is just the time of the most inspired action that you take is during this center kind of week, 5 days or so. And then we go back into the waning moon as it's going back to its new moon phase. And this is reflection and release. So I would also say in a ritual here, I would also say that releasing, letting go, declutter your home, your mind, your emotions, you're preparing for your rest, focusing on your self-care, emotional healing, prioritize grounding activities like yoga, nature walks, journaling, closing out your unfinished tasks, preparing for your rest, and then a new cycle to go again. So this is like you're just preparing to go into that inner darkness. And I don't mean darkness in a negative way. I just mean that time of like cocooning before we begin again. And as you tap into this lunar energy, this creates, I cannot emphasize enough the profound shifts that happen when you tap into this energy, because this is the feminine energy. This is the essence of what you are. And when you honor those natural cycles of the moon, you stop forcing productivity when your body is craving rest. And instead of, you're working in harmony with your energy and with nature. It's such a beautiful thing. I wish I had known about this sooner in my life. So what are the benefits of aligning with the moon? You're going to have increased creativity. Using the waxing moon, the ovulation phase for new ideas, inspired actions, all of that, you're definitely going to find when you're harnessing all of that energy, it's going to increase your creativity. It's going to increase your productivity. It's going to create better emotional balance. So some women are really struggling with PMS. Some women are really struggling with menopause or perimenopause, especially where a lot of women say perimenopause, their emotions are all over the place. They're out of control. They're angry. Everything irritates them. You are out of sync. It isn't supposed to be that way. Now, there are external influences where you are probably being exposed to external estrogens, which are making it more difficult. I am actually in the perimenopause phase myself, and I can tell you, I have not had, I'm nearing 50, not quite there, but I'm getting close. I have not had hot flashes. I do have some emotional fluctuations, but they are very, very manageable. A little bit of night sweats, but it has been throughout my entire 40s. It has been pretty stable. when I did have a little insomnia in my mid-40s, and I was able to manage that with herbs. So in reality, no matter what phase you're in, PMS, perimenopause, wherever you are, it shouldn't feel like that. If you are feeling emotional extremes, you are out of balance. It's not just the phases of the moon, obviously. There are other influences, but you really, really need to find that alignment. If you're really struggling, reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Tandy Hartle is my handle. Direct message me. I have a lot of programs where I work with women. Yes, I work with hypnotherapy. I work with subconscious reprogramming. I work with a lot of things. But I work as a spiritual coach. I work in a lot of different ways too. And I do have nutrition certifications, all of these things. And this is how I have been able to keep myself in balance, because I understand the spiritual aspects, the aspects of nature as an herbalist and all of these things to bring balance to every area of your life. And it can be such a beautiful process if we learn how to stay in alignment. So I just went on a tangent, sorry, but I could talk about that all day. Like I said, you can have better productivity. So when you're working on your high energy tasks during those peak phases, you're not going to burn out as much. You're not going to feel the overwhelm and a lot of the emotions when you're trying to push high energy when you're just not there. Now, I realize some of you work in a job, and I realize that your job is based on a man's hormonal cycle. You are expected to show up for work every single morning, high energy and ready to go. And that's just not how we work. So we can tend to overwhelm, burn out. It's just the nature of the feminine. It's not bad. It's just that you're being forced into a box you don't fit in very well. So if that's the case, there are other ways that you can honor yourself to kind of help yourself find balance within the space that you're in. You will also find deeper spiritual connection, which is beautiful and amazing. Using new moon and full moons for intention setting, reflection, and release, allowing that emotional release, allowing yourself to connect to the spiritual realm in however resonates with you can create beautiful spiritual connections. So as you tune into these natural rhythms of the moon, tune into yourself and what your needs are during the different phases of your own cycle or during the different phases of the moon, you're going to find a lot of power in that. You create a life of flow instead of a life of resistance, harmony instead of exhaustion, and alignment instead of struggle. The moon doesn't fight the darkness. It embraces the cycle. When you align with its rhythm, you unlock the power of flow, intuition, and balance in your life, which is so important for women. The rhythms of nature mirror the energetic balance of the masculine and feminine. The moon and the sun both guide us, but they influence our energy in very different ways. Understanding these cycles allows us to align with our natural flow rather than forcing ourselves into structures that go against our innate wisdom. The moon's 28-day cycle is the essence of feminine energy. The moon is deeply connected to the divine feminine and feminine energy. It is the celestial body that governs intuition, emotion, reflection, and cycles of renewal. Just as the moon moves through its 28-day cycle, so too does a woman through her hormonal cycle. And even beyond menopause, you are still connected to that 28-day cycle, even if that cycle is not a fully ovulatory, fertile cycle. You still are operating on a 28-day cycle, even as a woman who is in her sage or wise woman phase. So I just want to say this really quickly. I do not believe in the crone. I don't believe in using that word. We do have the maiden, we do have the mother, and we do have the sage or the wise woman. Those are the different phases. And every single one of these operates on a 28-day emotional and physical cycle, no matter where you are in your hormonal stage of life, okay? Or your fertile stage of life. So the moon is going to mirror a woman's energy. The moon waxes and wanes. It shifts between times of high energy and deep rest, just like the follicular and luteal phases of a woman's cycle. and it moves towards high energy, and then it slowly tapers off. So it's not just all of a sudden I have energy, all of a sudden I have none. It shouldn't feel like that. It's just more of an ebb and flow, slowly increasing and then slowly decreasing, almost like a wave. The moon represents ovulation, when energy, creativity, and magnetism peak. That's the full moon. That is representation of ovulation. Even if you're not ovulating anymore, you're still going to find yourself in a phase during the month where energy, creativity, and magnetism peak. So if you are a woman in her sage or wise woman phase of life, you need to follow the cycles of the moon. That's your 28-day cycle. So when the moon is full, that is your energy, that is your creativity, that is your peak, being social, all of that. That's what you're following. And then the new moon mirrors menstruation, a time for inward reflection, deep rest, and renewal, like we've been saying. And I just keep reiterating this because it is so important for you to understand these phases and understand why when you go to work and you're like, I'm not feeling it today. I'm having a hard time pushing through. I'm having a hard time focusing. I'm having a hard time. It's probably because you're in a certain phase where that high energy, productivity, creativity is just not there. And so you're going to find women in the corporate world, even though they're successful and they're amazing and they're wonderful, and they can absolutely be, your mood, your productivity, your creativity are going to shift. Some days it's going to be off and some days it's going to be on, and that's okay. And you can still be very successful and amazing and wonderful. It's just unfortunate that society doesn't honor your cycles. Because if we did, women would be even more powerful. For centuries, women naturally cycled with the moon. Their cycles were synced with nature, and they naturally lived according to the mood, energy, and power that each phase of the moon and their own cycle moved through. This alignment kept them in deep connection with nature, intuition, and personal power. But modern living, disconnected from nature, has caused women's bodies to fall out of rhythm with these natural cycles, leading to burnout, emotional imbalances, disconnection from self. It leads to imbalances of the menstrual cycle as well. And so women have longer cycles, lower fertility. It causes a whole host of issues. And I want to talk about why our society is the way that it is. We live in a very patriarchal society, despite whether you recognize it or not, we do. It's not just religious patriarchy. The entire society is based on patriarchy. All of it. Even intimate connections between men and women are based upon patriarchy. I would even say that a lot of women-to-woman relationships are also based on masculine energy because we have been so indoctrinated into it. So we're going to talk about the sun's 24-hour cycle because I want you to understand why we're living the way that we are and why women are so off their game. Because if we started honoring women's cycles and honoring where they are and all of that, if we started honoring that, women's power would be unstoppable. Women are powerhouses of creativity and action, and they birth things into creation. And I'm not just talking about birthing a child. I am talking about, if you want the power of creation, you've got to have women. It is a force to be reckoned with. But the 24-hour cycle is the essence of masculine energy. Men operate off of the sun. The sun is the masculine energy. It's constant. It's structured. It's predictable. It's like that. Unlike the ebb and flow of the moon, which is a longer cycle, and it kind of has ebbs and flows of the energy that it has. It's like this mystical, just the beauty of the feminine, right? The sun is a fixed 24-hour rhythm. And it's like energy in the morning, waning at night, just it's not as emotional and up and down, right? It does wane towards the end of the night, refreshes the next day. It's not as unpredictable as a woman's. Man's hormones cycle like this. So testosterone levels peak in the morning. And that's you have high energy, drive, focus. Well, that's great. You go get to work at 8 a.m. in the morning. Men are ready to go. They got their energy, their drive, their focus. They are all about it. That works. And it's that way every single day. It resets. They're ready to work every day. But then throughout the day, Energy naturally declines with a natural slowdown in the evening. Well, so they can sleep, right? Well, that's what the workday is. This cycle resets every 24 hours. It allows for the optimal work week, which is what our society is based on. It's not based on women. It's based on men's cycles. In modern society, the masculine solar cycle is the default. Most work schedules, school systems, and societal expectations are based on the masculine 24-hour productivity model. This model is optimal for men, works great for them, completely ignores the needs of women. Because we don't have that same energy level day in and day out. We're not emotionally the same. Our creativity, our focus, everything is up and down and all over the map throughout the 28 days. It's just not optimal for us. And many women try to fit within this framework because we don't really have a choice. You know, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be any of these things, you have to fit within the masculine or else. And this is why women find themselves burned out, stressed, overwhelmed. Their cycles are out of balance. Hormones are out of balance. They struggle to maintain a healthy weight or healthy eating patterns because their bodies are running on adrenaline and cortisol, trying to keep up with the demands of a male-centered system. We could allow work to follow the feminine schedule where we really peak. I mean, women will get more done during that ovulation phase than men are going to get done all month. It's true. We just don't follow that. Women do not follow a 24-hour rhythm. So trying to force productivity, high energy, and constant output every single day, day in and day out, without honoring their natural ebb and flow, it doesn't work well. You will also get women that will dissociate. You will get women that, women will get very harsh. They will embody a lot more masculine energy because they have to. And you'll notice a lot of effects from that. It affects their romantic relationships and partnerships. It affects friendships. It really pulls them out of their authentic feminine energy. And that imbalance never goes well. Despite, again, the masculine thing is financial success is the measure of everything. So if we say, hey, she's a super successful lawyer, like she's doing great. Okay, how's her relationship with herself? How's her relationship with her kids? How are her intimate relationships, her family relationships? What is going on all underneath all of this? And we find women who are completely out of balance. Yeah, they're successful. They're making a lot of money. But more often than not, there's not balance there for them. Their hormone cycles may be off. There's a million things that may be off. There's a lot of emotional eating that might be going on, alcohol that's going on. There's a lot of other things that may be lying underneath that we don't see. So we need to reclaim the feminine and balance both energies because we each have both energies. Men have feminine energy, women have masculine energy. It's not one or the other. And a lot of times in religious cultures, they try to say, you know, men and women are just different. They're complementary but different. No, that's actually completely inaccurate. We have a part of each other within. Women have masculine energy. Men have feminine energy. And we all have different balances, very unique fingerprint of what our feminine and masculine balanced energies are. And that's regardless of gender. The goal is not to reject masculine energy or reject feminine energy, but first to reconnect with our natural energy. So for a woman, you need to reconnect with your natural lunar rhythm and feminine energy before balancing both forces. So for women, reclaiming the moon cycle is about honoring your changing energy and working with it instead of against it. For men, while men follow the sun, they can also tune into the moon for deeper intuition, rest, and emotional balance. They need that. We don't need men running around in their anger all the time. We don't need men being emotionally or physically exhausted either. So this connection helps men gain greater control over their emotions, allows them to embody more respect for the feminine, allowing to find balance in their sex drive so they can have respect for women instead of seeing them as objects to exploit for their own pleasure, which is actually an out of balance masculine energy. So for everyone, the key to flow, balance, and spiritual alignment is knowing when to activate the masculine, which is action, structure, productivity, and when to activate and honor the feminine, which is intuition, rest, and reflection. So when women stop forcing themselves to operate on a solar schedule and start syncing with the phases of the moon, they experience profound shifts in their energy, creativity, and overall well-being, which is extremely important. You return to your natural state of balance and power. And when you're fully connected to both your intuitive feminine flow and your structured masculine drive, that's where the magic happens. As you begin to connect with your natural feminine rhythm, journal on what you want to release and what you want to call in. Take time for restorative self-care like a hot bath, yoga, and deep sleep, meditation, tuning into your inner guidance. Women thrive when they honor their natural cycles. When women align their daily lives, work, and self-care with the moon's energy, they experience increased emotional balance and clarity, like I talked about before. Instead of feeling like your emotions are random and unpredictable, you'll begin to understand and anticipate your emotional rhythms. You'll know when you feel most inspired or sensitive or introspective, and you'll be able to work with it instead of fighting it and trying to force it down, which never works and is never healthy. You can honor these emotional shifts and allow better decision-making, healthier relationships, better self-care, even just better food choices. You'll have deeper self-awareness if you learn to see how your cycle syncs with all of these things. Less burnout and exhaustion. Our society rewards constant productivity, but women are not meant to operate on that cycle. By using high energy moon phases for action and low energy phases for rest, women can work with their bodies, experiencing more energy, more creativity, and more success without the exhaustion. You'll also have a deeper connection to your intuition. Women's intuition is a real thing, and it is a force to be reckoned with. You have a personal power. The moon governs intuition and the subconscious mind. When women align with it, they develop stronger inner knowing and trust their own wisdom. As women begin to live in flow with their cycles, they feel more empowered, confident, and in control of their energy and their decisions. The moon is not just a celestial body. It's a guide, a mirror of the feminine energy, and a powerful force for transformation. When we tune into its natural rhythms, we stop fighting against our own cycles and we start living in harmony with our emotions, energy, and intuition. So, the key takeaways from this episode: the moon cycle mirrors the 28 cycle of feminine energy and our hormonal rhythms. We are naturally attuned to the moon's phases, our shifts in mood, creativity, energy levels throughout the month. So, new moon, rest and intention. Waxing moon, growth and action. Full moon, manifestation, expression, and social interaction. Waning moon is reflection and release. By aligning with the moon, you can experience better balance and empowerment in your life. So, whether through journaling, meditation, setting intentions, or releasing what no longer serves, small intentional practices can create profound shifts in personal growth and alignment for women. And I want to ask you, if you are ready to step into alignment with the moon and reclaim your natural rhythm, start tracking your energy and emotions and how it syncs up with the moon's cycles. Pay attention to how you feel at each phase and adjust your schedule, self-care, and your intentions accordingly. Try some moon rituals that align with where you are in your cycle or align and resonate with you. Whether it's setting intentions on the full moon or releasing what no longer serves you on the new moon, choose one simple practice to start this journey. Follow Soulful Insights for more episodes on spiritual sovereignty, feminine wisdom, and energetic alignment. Stay connected for more guidance. You can follow me at Tandy Hartle on Instagram for more information about the programs that I have available. And one final thought today: the moon doesn't fight the darkness. It embraces the cycle. As you align with its rhythm, you step into your true power, flowing effortlessly between creation, rest, and renewal.